Alright, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you guys. Rising Storm 2 Vietnam has to be one of the best first-person shooters I have ever played. This game is practically everything that I have ever wanted in a video game. Imagine getting the fast-paced gameplay from Call of Duty and getting the realism from Arma 3 and making it into a Vietnam War game. I say this because Call of Duty, while it's fast-paced, it is very unrealistic. But in comparison, Arma 3 is very realistic, but it is very boring in my opinion. But in this video, I am going to be going into more depth. Also, if my voice sounds familiar, yes, I did make the other Rising Storm 2 Vietnam review on my main channel, but that video was an unscripted mess, so I just want to make a proper, more dedicated video on my gaming channel, which is my second channel, which is the channel you're watching this on. Anyways, let's get into the review. Also, there are timestamps in the video description for your convenience. Alright, so I want to start off with the different roles in the game. Each role is unique and they have their own special attributes as well as weapons. It's very similar to the role system that Battlefield has in place, but the good thing is that they have limited amounts of people who can join the roles, because if there wasn't a player limit per role, then everyone would pick the sniper class or RPG class, and that would just be a complete train wreck. So thank you Antimatter for implementing this. Now each faction has different types of classes that cater to them. An example would be that the North Vietnamese get an RPG role, whereas the opposing team, which is usually the US or Australia, a grenade launcher class which can fire 40mm high explosive grenades, smoke grenades, or even a buckshot. Now the Rifleman class or Grunt class is the only class where an unlimited number of people can choose. Depending on the country you choose, the weapons can vary. But let's say you are playing as the United States. You have the choice of an M16, which I personally don't like. I mean, it's accurate at range, but it only has 20 rounds in a magazine, unless you're playing as South Vietnam, where you can actually get the 30 magazine extension, but I mean, I just don't trust it. And you also have the choice of the M14, which I love, and you get 2 grenades as well. If you are the squad leader, you can choose an M1911 or an M1917 as a secondary, and you also get binoculars and an artillery smoke. This is only if you are a squad leader though. But I also want to talk about my favorite role in the game, and that is the North Vietnamese machine gunner, because that RPD is an amazing weapon, and you can literally lay down a lot of suppressing fire as a machine gunner. You can also choose between a TT-33 as a secondary or a PM, and you also get 1 grenade. But since the gun weighs much more than an infantry class, you run much slower and make yourself an easy target when you need to flee an enemy control zone quickly. Alright, so now I'm going to be talking about the realism and physics. So like I mentioned previously, this game has a fast-paced action playstyle like Call of Duty and the realism of Arma 3, and I'm going to explain why. When I'm firing a weapon in this game, I actually feel like I am shooting a gun. This is because there's lots of kick and recoil. I love seeing in the distance when a bullet hits a target such as a wall or a ground and the damage effects, and it feels like I am actually firing a weapon. There is bullet penetration. If you sit behind a solid brick wall, then you don't have to worry too much. But if you are hiding behind a wooden fence or a wooden wall, then it depends really on the weapon's caliber. If a large 7.62mm hits a wooden fence, chances are it's not going to be stopped. This also isn't limited to walls and fences, but also to people. There have been many times when I have shot someone from long distance and the bullet penetrated their body and killed someone behind them as well, because these weapons fire, full metal jackets. I also love it when you shoot the ground. The bullet impact is dependent on the caliber of the weapon. There is also bullet drop-off, which, you can adjust your iron sights accordingly, but I very rarely do this because I'm not going to be shooting a target further than 100 meters, and even if I do, I'll be so inaccurate because you need to track the target and account for lag and bullet speed and drop-off, but it is still a cool feature nonetheless. Another feature that is really cool is the blowback when firing an RPG. I believe it's called the blowback or the blastback. Basically, if you fire an RPG and someone is standing behind you when you fire an RPG, you will kill that person because the blast would have killed them. And this is a very realistic feature because if you've ever seen someone fire an RPG, then you know about the effects of standing behind someone firing this weapon. Now to continue on with the realism of the game, one of my favorite features is that if you are getting shot at, you can get disorientated, which can make your vision blur, your weapon sway is also increased, and the reloading times are increased, I believe, as well. It feels like I am actually getting shot at, because if you hear bullets whizzing past you, like Jesus Christ, it gives you PTSD, but I'm only joking, like you're not actually going to get PTSD. Now speaking of weapons, there is 31 different weapons, and they are each unique. Also, if you haven't watched my best AK-47 video, link is in the description and in the top right hand corner. I'm not going to cover each and every one of them because there are just too many, but I'm going to talk about my favorite weapon from each faction or country. Now for Australia, my favorite gun would definitely be the L1A1. Australia as a faction in general is probably the best in my opinion because they have such amazing guns. But the reason why I love the L1 is because it can be used if you are a grunt, meaning that it's not limited per class. It has a large caliber shell, which is a 7.62mm, and the thing is pretty decent accuracy wise despite having quite a fair bit of vertical recoil, but you should be able to counter that. But it usually takes about 2 body shots for the target to go down, so this is the perfect weapon for long range engagements in my opinion, and it also has a fantastic iron sight. Now for the South Vietnamese in the United States, my weapon of choice is a controversial one, but it would have to be the M37 Stakeout. And this is because the gun is not only deadly in close quarters, but it is also deadly at long range. Being a shotgun, you have the choice of a 00 buckshot and a number 4 buckshot shell, but since I'm Australian who doesn't really have access to any weapons, these words don't really mean anything to me. The reason why I love this gun is because, while you can use it at close range, well obviously because it's a pump action shotgun, but you can also use it at long range because the shooting mechanics in this game are realistic and shotgun physics are essentially treated as in real world, because in Call of Duty, right, you get shot at by a shotgun from 50 meters away. It's like having a dog sneeze on you pretty much. But in this game, you can take maybe 2 to 3 shots from a shotgun at range and you're done. And I'm talking about like 50-60 meters away. Because I have been literally sniped many times and I'm just like sitting there like, how the hell does a shotgun from 80 meters away kill me? But if you don't know already, my weapon of choice for the North Vietnamese has to be the RPD. That gun is just fantastic, like I stated previously. Now I finally want to talk about the maps, and it's the last thing I'm going to talk about. And you can't really do a review without the maps, because this is literally the thing that you spend most of your time on when playing this game. Sure, if the game mechanics and weapons are amazing, but if the maps suck, the game itself will suck. There are lots of maps in this game, and some are larger than others, and they can also range from jungles to big open rice fields, or even to big cities such as Hue and Saigon. I'm gonna be honest, I honestly thought Hue was pronounced Huey. Don't blame me. There is a lot of maps in this game, but I want to talk about a couple of my favorite. Now, I know a lot of people don't like this map, but I don't care, I love this map. It is Resort. I love playing as the United States and going into a helicopter at the start of the game and playing Ride of the Valkyries on my other monitor as we invade the beach, dodge small arms fire and artillery fire, oh well not artillery fire, but RPG fire. I just wanted to say that as a new player, if you find yourself as a transport pilot, do not land in this zone I have marked on the map. This is practically called Suicide Zone. You can get shot at from practically all angles and you'll leave your team pinned down and frustrated. Try and land in these zones indicated on the map. Playing from a North Vietnamese standpoint on this map is also fun because you can see all these helicopters in the distance flying over a resort and you and your team fire rockets at it. Another map I also love is, as I mentioned previously, is Hue City or Huey City. While this map will kill